Hey folks, this is Riker, and the Blizzcon schedule is live. In this video, we're going to go through the Blizzcon schedule, see how that lines up with our Blizzconline predictions, and talk about why we feel that this is going to be a very Diablo-focused BlizzCon. Now before watching this video, make sure you've watched my video with my Blizzconline predictions, because I will be referring to things that I believe will be happening at this BlizzCon. But let's dive right in now. As you can see, we got the schedule here, Blizzconline taking place on February 19th and 20th across 6 different virtual stages, i.e. stream channels. You can see the main Blizzard channel, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Diablo, Overwatch, and then strategy. Right away, a gut punch to StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm, which are now effectively being lumped together. This lines up with both StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm having been part of Blizzard's Team 1, which, as per Jason Schreier and inside sources, has been dismantled. So right off the bat, one should not expect anything significant for StarCraft or Heroes of the Storm at BlizzConline, but we'll continue to dive into this. So we have the opening ceremony. It's going to be an hour and 10 minutes starting at 5 p.m. Eastern. Now, the opening ceremony is where all major reveals will happen. If something is not revealed during the first hour and 10 minutes of BlizzConline, it is not happening. So if a Diablo 2 remaster is not revealed during this time, a Diablo 2 remaster will not be revealed at any other time during this BlizzCon. First hour opening ceremony, that's where all the major news happens. The rest of day one is where we expand upon what was revealed, expand upon things, and then in general, day two, we'll have Q&A. It's more of a relaxed day, more fan type stuff, more, we'll call it fluff versus crunch. Fluff being topics of interest, but not necessarily news-worthy things, whereas all the major reveals, all the major information that you're here for will mostly happen on day one. So after the opening ceremony, we're going to get directed to our individual stream channels, which you could be watching from the start in fairness. On the strategy channel, you see right away we dive into StarCraft Legends. This is going to be an esports related event. Esports has been the main focus for StarCraft at BlizzCon for a while now, and it seems we're getting no what's next panel for StarCraft, no deep dive for StarCraft. It's going to be just pure nostalgia and esports for the rest of BlizzCon. Because after this esports event, we get where it all started, Blizzard's early years. So this will likely be, because it's on the strategy channel, a greater focused look on StarCraft, Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, maybe a little bit about other games. Now for Overwatch, we're getting behind the scenes of Overwatch 2. The team will talk about the development process and share some work in progress. Now, interesting to note is that this is not an Overwatch What's Next. This is not an Overwatch deep dive. This is the panel where we are going to learn the most information about what's happening with regards to Overwatch 2. Things have been kind of quiet lately, but because it's not a what's next or a deep dive, I'm not expecting anything really big here. And then after that, we go into a pure fluff panel. The voices of Overwatch should be lots of fun. Overwatch has a lot of voice actors that seem to be really fun and nice people. And then Overwatch creating a soundtrack, a deep dive into the composition of sound. So Overwatch, all major crunch, all major information will happen in this 40-minute panel. Next, for Hearthstone, we got a deep dive happening right after BlizzConline. Now, I'm expecting a Hearthstone expansion reveal, so this will likely be a deep dive into that expansion. This is one of Blizzard's franchises where you can expect there to be consistent content coming, and so there is material to have a deep dive into. After that, we're going into esports. Hearthstone Battlegrounds Exhibition. It's going to be an event where streamers fight each other in Hearthstone. So day one for Hearthstone, all the important info is going to be in this first panel. World of Warcraft, we're getting a what's next, then we're getting a deep dive as well. So note that Hearthstone is just getting a deep dive, WoW is getting what's next and a deep dive. And again, this lines up with our predictions. For WoW, we're predicting the Burning Crusade's going to be revealed. This is something that hasn't yet been revealed, so that's what a What's Next panel can include. We're also anticipating a new raid being revealed for WoW Shadowlands. So there is already, we're anticipating a number of things for the WoW devs to have to discuss. With this new format of BlizzConline, it's not clear how they're going to be separating things. Typically, in a traditional BlizzCon panel, things are very focused, but with this online format, they could easily cut between different groups of people talking, different talking heads, different topics. It could all be edited together. But regardless, World of Warcraft players are getting a good amount of juicy details on their day one. We've got about 1 full hour here of crunch content for WoW. After that, we got some fun fluff content, the making of the community mount, and then we have voice actors talking about their craft. So far, we have for Warcraft, 1 hour of crunch. For Hearthstone, 45 minutes of crunch. For Overwatch, 40 minutes of crunch. How much crunch time does Diablo get? For Diablo, we got Diablo What's Next. We've got Diablo Developer Roundtable, and we've got Diablo Deep Dive as our crunch panels. This is where we're gonna have new things revealed. This is where we're going to talk more about Diablo 4. We're surely going to hear more about Diablo Immortal. We might hear more about a Diablo 3 Season 23. And if there is a Diablo 2 remaster, well, this is where they're going to talk about it. Now, outside of these 3 crunch panels, we have over here, Diablo the Voice of Deckard Cain, a short 10-minute panel in which the voice actor of Deckard Cain will get to talk about bringing the character to life. And we also have here, Diablo the Gothic World of Braum, 20-minute panel where the artist Braum is going to talk about his inspirations. But outside of that, between the What's Next, the Developer Roundtable, where the development team will discuss recent learnings and more, and the Deep Dive, we got 120 minutes, 2 hours of crunch. That is double what World of Warcraft gets. Who would have thought years ago, when we're looking at what little 2 half-hour spots on a BlizzCon schedule that Diablo got, and how small the Diablo demo station is smaller than the bathrooms, how Diablo is a redheaded stepchild, who would have thought we would have a BlizzCon where Diablo is getting the best, most important, meaningful, crunch, detail, wonderful panels. This is a BlizzCon where Diablo is the star attraction. Now on the main Blizzard channel, this is where they're going to be rebroadcasting or simulcasting things from other panels. In theory, if there are any hidden announcements, hidden panels within the schedule, the place that they can do it would be wherever they're simulcasting. For instance, in theory, if Blizzard is to reveal a new IP, it's gonna be on the main Blizzard channel in this spot here. Why not over here during a rebroadcast? Well, if I plan out my BlizzCon viewing schedule that I'm gonna watch the WoW What's Next, and then I'm gonna watch the Diablo rebroadcast, and then when I tune into the Diablo rebroadcast, it's a reveal of a new game, well, that screws up my plans. So I don't think they would do that if there is anything hidden in the schedule, which I'm actually not expecting at this point, but if there is, it would be either here or here during the simulcasts. These are their real opportunities to have hidden things, to reveal anything that is a major new property or anything really big that they want to talk about that can't be covered during the opening ceremony. Now on to day 2. Day 2 starts earlier, 3 p.m. Eastern. For the strategy channel, we got an in-game user-generated content showcase. Here they're going to talk about StarCraft custom maps, Warcraft custom maps. They're going to celebrate basically their modding scene, their internal in-game modding scene. I do wonder if they're going to bring up Defense of the Ancients. Some bad blood there. For Overwatch, we basically have a community panel happening over here. Then for World of Warcraft and Diablo, they're getting a 1-hour Q&A. Hearthstone gets a 35-minute Q&A. So why is the WoW and the Diablo Q&A longer than the Hearthstone Q&A? Well, there's probably more to talk about with WoW and Diablo. Note that Overwatch 2 does not get a Q&A. Again, Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2, 2 games that are in development. Most people were expecting Overwatch 2 to release before Diablo 4, but at the very least, no one's expecting Overwatch 2 to release after Diablo 4. And yet, we're getting more Diablo discussion. Now, is it because there's more to talk about in Diablo 4 by itself? Maybe. But it could be the combination Diablo 4, Diablo Immortal, maybe Diablo 3 stuff, maybe Diablo 2 remaster stuff. Then for Hearthstone, after their Q&A, you're gonna get a Blizzard Art Studio, Reno Jackson. It's gonna be a fun art panel. After that, we're gonna have a 5-minute March of the Murlocs across every panel. Then we got a community showcase for an hour. This will be the cosplay, art, and other forms of talent. Then after that, basically just a bunch of fun panels for the rest of the day. All the crunch ends by 4 o'clock. So by 4 o'clock, after the first hour of BlizzCon on day 2, all the major information, all like the newsworthy information will be done. Everything else is fun panels, still lots of stuff to learn, but all those juicy updates you've been waiting for, that'll all be done by 4. So after the community showcase, Carbot gets himself an hour-and-a-half panel. Love Carbot, super guy, hilarious animation. So happy that he's been making his Diablo animation series. But in this case, this is listed as a Heroes of the Storm panel. So this is like the first time. This is pretty much the only Heroes of the Storm content we're getting at Blizzconline, sadly. After that, Blizzard Art Studio Tracer. That's an Overwatch character. This is an Overwatch art panel, because they've run out of material on their strategy channel, their combined StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm panel. They've run out of content to talk about that they're putting in Overwatch here now. I feel so bad for Heroes of the Storm fans. So bad. I really enjoyed Heroes of the Storm. Great game. Feel bad for StarCraft fans. I was a StarCraft fan. StarCraft was one of my favorite games growing up. Literally, the day that StarCraft 2 was revealed, with no exaggeration, that was the happiest day of my life at the time. No exaggeration. And then after the Overwatch panel, we have a World of Warcraft art panel. As for the Overwatch channel, we got some community-made creations being featured from the workshop. Then we got some instructional panel on how to craft your own Pachimari. Finishing off here with an art panel on Roadhog. As for Diablo, we got Artists at Work, Diablo Hive Mother Part 1. The Hive Mother is a monster that was in Diablo 3. It's this thing over here. I'm gonna insert an image here in post-production. And anytime now. And then there's a part 2. It's interesting how it's basically 2.5 hours, or just about, of drawing a single thing. It's interesting to me that the art panel is so much longer than all the other art panels. So I do wonder how it's going to differ from the other art panels. Then for Hearthstone, you got this tiny 5-minute panel where people do impressions of the Innkeeper. And then there's going to be, I guess, that continuation of the PvP between streamers. And finishing off with Bartender Bob's advice. Now, as for Warcraft, you got the evolution of Thrall. They talk about the evolution of Thrall as a character. We got a panel here on Shadowlands sound creation, and a cooking workshop if you want to learn how to craft Azerothian recipes. But the thing I'm most excited about on day 2, I mean after the Q&A, is the Blizzconline presents a Critical Role Diablo campaign. Critical Role hosts a custom Diablo-themed adventure about a band of warriors pursuing whispered rumors of something ancient and evil, stirring beneath the ruins of old Tristram. I'm so excited about this because Dungeons & Dragons has been the greatest hobby in my life since I was an adolescent. I was a Diablo fan first, and then one day, I think I was 12 years old, my dad bought me a Diablo 2 box set of Dungeons & Dragons. I think it was 2nd edition. This was a collaboration between Wizards of the Coast, the developers of Dungeons & Dragons, and Blizzard. I think it was mostly Blizzard licensing the Diablo name to Wizards of the Coast, and I played that, and that was my gateway into Dungeons & Dragons. And so seeing my two loves come back together, thanks to Critical Role, is just phenomenal here. For anyone who does not know, Critical Role is the biggest Dungeons & Dragons stream. I mean, to even call it a stream is doing it a disservice. It is a force. It is something that is in part responsible for the popularity, the renewed popularity of Dungeons & Dragons within the last few years. It's a group of extremely talented voice actors that have come together. Well, I mean, they're actually friends. I think they've been running campaigns and playing D&D together for years. And they started streaming it, and it's become immensely popular because they're so good with their voices. They're Dungeon Master Matt Mercer is a phenomenal Dungeon Master, and the players are phenomenal players. They're a joy to watch, they're a joy to listen to, and a lot of these people have worked or do work on an ongoing basis for Blizzard as voice actors. Matt Mercer, the voice of McCree. In fact, a lot of them do multiple voices across multiple Blizzard games. But the one that I suppose that'll be most relevant to this is that Laura Bailey does the voice of the Demon Hunter Vala. So I wonder, will Laura Bailey be playing Vala during this adventure? Based on the description, evil stirring beneath the ruins of Old Tristram, this sounds like this might be circa Diablo 3. We're talking about Old Tristram, so this implies there's a new Tristram, which implies Old Tristram has fallen into ruins, so we're post Diablo 1 era. What could be stirring? Could it be the Skeleton King again? Are we going to see the Skeleton King as the boss of their little adventure here? We'll find out. I'm excited to seeing how it plays out. And then lastly, there will be the closing ceremonies, or I guess just the show close. Very brief, 5 minutes wrap up of everything that happened. So how does all this play into our predictions? Well, it does seem like Hearthstone is going to get some new content. It does seem like WoW is going to get some new content. The only real surprises I'm seeing here is that there's no room on the schedule for anything Heroes of the Storm related. I thought there would be a little bit of new Heroes content spoken about. I'm thrilled to see how much juicy content Diablo is getting, and with this, with getting double the amount of crunch time, detail time that WoW gets, there certainly is time to talk about a Diablo 2 remaster. It's not a guarantee that we're going to get that reveal at BlizzConline, but the way the schedule is laid out, it feels like there's time for it. And that's going to wrap up this video, but do be sure to stay tuned for more BlizzCon coverage. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more Blizzard content.